All right, diving right in. Today we're going to be unpacking this whole HBAR thing, the price surge, what's driving its value, and all the exciting stuff brewing in the Hedera ecosystem.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan.
So to help us untangle all this, I've got an expert here who can break down even the most complex blockchain stuff, make it crystal clear.
Glad to be here. I'm really excited to dig into all the nuances of HBAR and show why it's such a strong asset in the crypto space.
I know you've been keeping a close eye on Hedera for a while. What first caught your attention, about this specific blockchain and its token, HBAR?
Well, one of the first things that really hit me about Hedera was how they approached this, the classic blockchain trilemma, like security, scalability, and decentralization. Instead of kind of sacrificing one for the others, Hedera really tries to achieve like a true balance between all three. And, that's pretty rare in the blockchain world.
Interesting. I'm curious to hear more about how they actually pull that off. But first, let's address the elephant in the room, right? HBR's price has been on a tear lately.
Absolutely. There's definitely a lot of excitement around HBAR right now, and for good reason.
Hmm.
But it's important to remember the difference between price and actual value. You see the price on the charts, but the value that comes from the core fundamentals of the asset.
Yeah, that's a big distinction, especially the crypto world, right? Things can get pretty wild. So what do you mean by those fundamentals when it comes to HBR? What actually gives it that inherent value?
Think about it this way. HBAR is like the fuel, the energy for this rapidly growing ecosystem with all its applications, decentralized finance, supply chain stuff, even enterprise solutions and satellite-based IoT networks. HBR connects all of that, and that widespread utility is what gives it real value beyond just, the speculation.
Right, makes sense. It's not just about watching the price climb. It's about the real world things being built on Hedera, and that's where the real value comes from.
Exactly. And as this whole Hedera ecosystem keeps growing, attracting more users and developers, the demand for HBAR is likely to go up, which could have a positive impact on its price in the long run.
It seems like Hedera is attracting both the big players like institutional investors and the everyday folks, especially with the meme coin craze on the platform. This strategy of appealing to such a wide range of investors is really intriguing. How is Hedera positioning itself to cater to all these different audiences?
Well, they recognize the importance of a thriving and diverse ecosystem. By attracting a broad spectrum of users, from institutions to retail traders, even meme coin enthusiasts, they create a more robust and interconnected network, right? This inclusivity encourages innovation and strengthens the overall value proposition of the whole Hedera ecosystem.
I see. So it's not just focusing on one specific niche. They're building a platform that can support a variety of use cases, and appeal to all sorts of investors.
Exactly. And that's one of the key strengths of Hedera, in my opinion. It's not a one-size-fits-all blockchain. It's a versatile platform that can support a multitude of applications and attract a truly diverse user base.
Speaking of attracting new users,
Yeah.
one of the things we're looking at today highlights this new launch, memejob.fund, a launchpad built specifically for meme coins, right, on the Hedera network. What are your thoughts on this?
Meme coins, well, they get a lot of skepticism, but they've proven to be a real force in the crypto world, right? Their ability to bring in retail investors and generate hype, it's undeniable.
Mhm.
So by creating this dedicated launchpad for meme coins, Hedera is kind of tapping into this trend and bringing a whole new wave of users into the ecosystem.
That's a smart move.
Mm.
Some people might dismiss meme coins, but they can be an entry point for newcomers, right? By providing a platform for them, Hedera is lowering that barrier to entry and making it easier for people to get into the whole blockchain world.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember Hedera isn't just focused on meme coins, right? It's a multifaceted platform. It supports all sorts of projects from enterprise level applications to mission critical infrastructure. But by embracing this meme coin trend, they're showing they're adaptable and they're committed to building a diverse and inclusive ecosystem.
I find it fascinating that they're embracing both the institutional side and the meme coin world.
Well,
That's a delicate balancing act. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about another key factor that people say drives HBAR's value. It's the unique governance model. How does Hedera's governance set it apart from other blockchains?
Well, most blockchains operate with a centralized structure where one entity or a small group holds a lot of control over the network.
Hmm.
Hedera, on the other hand, they've taken a more decentralized approach with their governing council.
Yeah, I recall reading about this governing council. It's made up of diverse group of organizations,
Yeah.
right, each with a stake in Hedera's success. How does this council actually govern the network?
So the council members, they're responsible for making the big decisions about the direction of the Hedera network. They oversee the development of the platform, they approve new features, and they make sure the network stays secure and stable. This distributed structure, it helps prevent any single entity from having too much control, and it fosters a more, democratic and transparent decision-making process.
So it's more like a democracy than a dictatorship. That's an
Yeah.
interesting approach. How does this council structure actually benefit users and developers on the Hedera network?
The decentralized nature of the governing council offers several advantages. First, it promotes stability and predictability, right? With a diverse group of stakeholders involved in the decision-making process, the network is less likely to experience sudden changes or disruptions. Second, it fosters trust and transparency. Decisions are made in a more open and accountable manner, which helps build confidence among users and developers. And finally, it encourages long-term thinking, right? The council members are incentivized to make decisions that benefit the whole Hedera ecosystem, not just, short-term gains.
Those are some compelling arguments in favor of Hedera's governance model. It sounds like they found a good balance between decentralization and efficiency, which is crucial for a blockchain platform that aims to support such a wide range of applications.
Exactly. Hedera's governance model is designed to provide stability, transparency, and accountability, all essential for attracting enterprise-level users and fostering long-term growth.
This has been super insightful. We've looked at the factors that contribute to HBR's value, the diverse ecosystem that's developing on Hedera, and the platform's, unique governance model. But there's still so much more to uncover.
Before we move on, I do want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about Hedera attracting those institutional investors like Kevin O'Leary.
Right, Mr. Wonderful himself. His endorsement of HBAR on Fox Business definitely made some waves in the crypto world. What do you think about the impact of endorsements like that, especially from someone like O'Leary, who's, so respected in finance?
Oh, it's huge, right. O'Leary's endorsement, it's a real validation of Hedera's potential. It shows that those institutional investors, they're paying attention, they see the value here, but it's not just about the endorsement itself. We have to look at why he's so bullish on HBR.
So what were some of the key things O'Leary highlighted when he was talking about HBAR?
He was really emphasizing Hedera's focus on real-world use cases, that strong governance model we discussed, and the growing ecosystem of applications. He even mentioned HBAR's recent price surge, suggesting that, the market is starting to recognize those underlying strengths.
So it's not just hype. There's substance behind it. That aligns with what we've been saying, that HBR's value comes from the actual utility it offers.
Exactly. And that's what sets Hedera apart from so many other crypto projects. It's not just a speculative asset. It's a platform that's actually being used to solve real problems across all sorts of industries.
Speaking of real-world applications, we haven't really dived into the technical side of Hedera yet. What makes its technology so unique and well-suited for all these different applications?
Well, Hedera's technology is built on this novel consensus mechanism called Hashgraph, and it offers some real advantages over those traditional blockchain architectures.
I've heard the term Hashgraph, but I'll admit I'm not totally clear on how it works or what makes it different. Can you break it down for our listeners who might be wondering the same thing?
Imagine a network where transactions aren't processed in a linear chain of blocks, but more like a constantly expanding web of interconnected events. That's the essence of Hashgraph.
That sounds pretty complex.
Yeah.
How does this web of events make Hedera more efficient and secure?
Well, it lets Hedera achieve super fast transaction speeds with a really high level of security. Unlike those traditional blockchains where transactions are added one block at a time, to a single chain, Hashgraph allows for parallel processing, so much higher throughput.
So it's like having multiple lanes on a highway instead of a single lane road. You can move a lot more traffic much faster.
That's a great analogy, and that speed advantage is crucial for so many of those real-world applications we talked about, micropayments, supply chain tracking, data management.
This brings us to a key question: scalability, right? As the Hedera ecosystem grows, more and more transactions, can the network handle it all without sacrificing speed or security?
Scalability is a major factor for any blockchain platform, and Hedera is no different. But its architecture, that consensus mechanism, they give it inherent advantages when it comes to scaling.
You mentioned Hashgraph allows for parallel processing of transactions. Does that play a role in how well Hedera can scale?
Oh, absolutely. That ability to process transactions concurrently, it lets Hedera handle a much, much larger volume compared to those blockchains that rely on sequential processing.
That's impressive. But scaling isn't just about speed, right? It's also about making sure the network stays secure and decentralized as it grows. How does Hedera address those challenges?
Hedera uses a combination of innovative technologies to boost its scalability and decentralization. For example, state proofs. They enable trust and interoperability between different networks, even private networks built on Hedera. This allows for seamless data sharing and collaboration, really expanding the platform's reach.
And you've mentioned mirror nodes before as playing a part in Hedera's decentralization.
Mhm.
How do those contribute to the network's resilience and accessibility?
Mirror nodes, think of them as copies of the Hedera network that anyone can run. This distributed architecture, it enhances decentralization and makes the network more resistant to things like censorship or downtime. Like having multiple backups of the network all over the globe, ensuring that data is accessible even if some nodes go offline.
So it's like having a network that's both fast and really tough, which is essential for those mission-critical applications.
Exactly. Hedera's approach to scaling, it goes beyond just increasing transaction speed. It's about building a network that's robust, decentralized, accessible, a network that can handle the demands of this growing ecosystem.
That's a really clear explanation of Hedera's tech and its scaling approach. We've covered a lot today, from HBR's price surge to the inner workings of Hashgraph and mirror nodes. All right, welcome back for the final part of our Hedera Deep Dive. We've looked at what's driving HBR's value. We got into the technicals, Hashgraph, mirror nodes, all that. Now it's time to put it all together. What I'm really struck by is how Hedera is managing to appeal to these big institutional investors while also embracing the whole meme coin community.
It really speaks to their versatility. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket. By
Okay.
by creating this diverse ecosystem, they're building a platform that's much more resilient, adaptable. Think of it like a balanced portfolio, right?
Mhm.
Different assets all contributing to the strength and stability of the whole thing.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And speaking of assets, let's talk about HBR itself. For our listener who's been with us this whole time absorbing all this info, what are the key takeaways about HBR? What should they be thinking about as they, explore Hedera further?
The most important thing is HBR isn't just some, speculative token riding the crypto hype wave. It's the fuel, the energy that powers a network with real utility. Every transaction, every smart contract, every file stored on Hedera, it all requires HBR. That inherent utility, that's what underpins its value.
So it's not just about buying HBAR and hoping the price goes up. It's about understanding its role in this functional, growing ecosystem.
Exactly. And that ecosystem, that's what makes HBR so interesting. We talked about all those different applications being built on Hedera, streamlining supply chains, micropayments in developing countries, all of it, and HBR is right at the center of it all.
You mentioned the partnership between Hedera and CLS Group earlier, that big player in the financial settlement world. That one feels significant. What does this collaboration mean for HBAR and for the whole Hedera ecosystem?
The CLS partnership, that's a major step towards mainstream adoption. We have this traditional financial institution embracing blockchain, specifically Hedera, for their settlement and payment solutions. That's huge.
It's like building a bridge between traditional finance and the new blockchain world. And HBR is the currency flowing across that bridge.
Exactly. And it goes beyond settlements. CLS is also launching a whole constellation of satellites, right, to facilitate Internet of Things communication using a token built on Hedera. This opens up a whole new world of possibilities for HBR, for its utility.
It's incredible to think about the potential scale of that, connecting devices globally using a Hedera-based token. It really shows the ambition, the scope of what they're trying to do.
It's ambitious, no doubt. But Hedera has a history of delivering. And that commitment to innovation with that strong governance model, the growing ecosystem, it all makes HBAR really compelling for anyone who's, interested in the future of blockchain.
Of course, we have to acknowledge that crypto is still early,
Yeah.
and there are risks. Like with any investment, our listener needs to do their research, understand their risk tolerance, all that.
Absolutely. Investing in crypto, it requires due diligence, a long-term perspective. Don't get caught up in the hype. Focus on understanding the technology, the team, the real-world applications that are being built.
And that's what we're all about here, right? Encouraging our listeners to go beyond the headlines, really dig in. So as we wrap up this Hedera deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to walk away with?
Don't underestimate the power of a well-designed, well-governed, purpose-driven blockchain platform. Hedera is building something truly transformative, and HBAR is the fuel that will drive its success.
That's a powerful message to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into HBAR and the Hedera ecosystem. We hope you found it valuable, and as always, keep exploring the fascinating world of blockchain.